Okay, we rolling?
Good evening.
Welcome. Rumour has it you wore those clothes to the gym this morning. And by the gym we mean a light Pilates session for 12 to 15 minutes.
6:30 a.m. I was in these clothes while you were nesting asleep.
6:30? No, I was awake at 6:30.
Don't lie.
It's meditating.
Stop.
Every morning.
Stop trying to look deeper than you actually
Can
are.
ask the missus.
Tonight we are sponsored by Mikaki.
I've never tried this one.
Mikaki, it's good. Whiskey finished cedar casks.
Yeah.
World's finest whiskey brand finished in Japanese cedar casks. Woo! Okay.
She's got a bit of peat to her.
Oh, a lot.
I do like a bit of peatiness.
You and Pete have gone way back.
Me and Pete have gone
Stories
way back.
are gonna
Anyway, so the topic that we're going to cover this evening is not the topic that I would like to cover because it's too divisive and we can't talk about it. Can we, Jay? Apparently. So, let's talk about some houses. Okay. So, and this is actually an interesting point because the news, our favourite friend, nothing but the conveyor of truth. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about how crazy the market has been rising, and I'll actually ask you this question to see if you know this. And I've told you the answer to this, so if you've got it, if you forget it, this shows how little you pay attention to me. Everyone talks about how the market has been increasing like crazy. Okay, so on average in Greater Vancouver or Metro Vancouver, the Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board, houses are up year over year by 30%. Okay,
In all of Greater Vancouver.
and all of Greater Vancouver. When you look at the last 10-year average, I mean there are homes that are up. Like we're talking just single-family homes right now specifically.
Yeah.
100%, 120%, 130, 140. I think the highest is actually Squamish at 176%.
Okay.
Over the last 10 years.
Average home growth.
Home price index. So the home price index for a single family home. Well, everyone keeps on asking the question, when does it end? When does it stop? You know, obviously everyday home prices for these single family homes keep on going up and up and up and up. And I think people expect them to go up, but how far up can they go before it starts becoming a thing? And I don't even know if you agree with me on this one, we'll get to the question shortly, but I think that if you're buying a home now, a single family home now, I would hope that you're in it for the long term, because I don't think even within the next 5 years, I think in the next 5 years there's a chance that you're still down versus where prices are at now.
Still down.
Not still down. Don't read into it too much, but I'm basically saying in 5 years' time, you're going to be down from where you are now. There's a high chance that you're going to be down from where you are now.
So my core belief about that is that if you look at a chart of the real estate market or the stock market, same thing.
Two completely different things. One's dealing with real estate, and the other's dealing with companies. But
looking at the charts is this. You can look at either or as the same thing.
But, by the way, we should point out that I am actually wearing.
I was just used to it. I didn't even think twice.
I am actually wearing this is because your eldest daughter decided that she wanted to. She was told that she was not allowed to do my makeup, so she had to settle with
doing your hair,
doing my hair, and I am to look like a unicorn. So this is the product, and she made me promise
that you wouldn't take it out.
That I would not take it out, and so I'm not taking it out. And we're also going on worldwide, global television.
This is
looking
true.
like this.
This is true.
This is it. What a great start to Sharp Real Estate Group, hey?
Oh, this is.
Oh, and speaking of, on a side note as well, your little thing the other week.
Like that?
I had a FaceTime conversation with my dad this morning. And
it's gone international, clearly.
Anytime that there's praise for you, I'm not happy. But let alone when it's my dad saying, Jay is so funny.
No.
I love Jay. He's hilarious when he's doing that. Say hello for me. It's after you had a day to infiltrate the compound that is my close family, my mum, my dad at the wedding, and I mean, props to you, sir. You did it very well because they're always asking about you, and it's the worst of all time. We're all together as one now. Carry on. The charts. The charts exactly the same, but completely different. Exact same. Look at the real estate charts. Look at stock market charts. If you zoom in, it's like this. You zoom out, it's like this. My belief is that the money will keep printing, and where does that money go? It will go into assets. Mm-hmm. Where are the top two assets? Real estate market, stock market. So the chart will continue to go up and to the right. So there will be hiccups, of course, along the way, but fundamentally it will continue to go up. Well, and I'd agree with you, but what I'm getting at is, okay, so what you're saying is from a close range, you see the up and down in the chart, right? So to me, that 5 years is looking close range. So if you're buying a house now, what I'm getting at is I'm hoping you're prepared to be in it for the next 10 years. We've talked about this before as well. When I started in real estate and talked to people, what's your plan? Where are you at in life? Why are we doing this? What is your projection of where you want to go, where you want to be? Everyone, the common denominator was I'm buying up my property and I'll be there for at least 5 to 10. Mm-hmm. The market, based on how quickly the Would you please calm your pussy down? You're the worst. That was not funny at all. There's a cat just out of screen. You're the worst. No, I don't even know what I was saying. We gotta start this again? No, we can just cut. But what was I even saying? I don't know. I never know. I just wait for you to finish. Oh, it used to be 5 to 10 years was the expectation. Now, as the velocity of the market has picked up so much in general. You still laughing at that horrific joke? Wait, it's not even funny at all. Yeah. Ask Simon about the worst joke of all time, side note. You do this every time. You've told me about the worst joke of all time. You've told me the worst joke of all time 100 times. Anyway. As the market has continued and the velocity has picked up, that 5 to 10 year norm has come to 5 to 6 years, 3 to 5 years. Well, I expect to move in like 2 to 3 years. So it's all tightened. So expectation-wise, I think I agree with you 100%. People should buy worst-case scenario, assuming to be there for a long time, so they can amortize out over any dramatic. It's not worth as much anymore. But I think that's how they should all look at it. Yeah, I think what I think I'm necessarily getting at is if you're buying a house now, let's say you paid 1.8 for your house. Don't be surprised if in a couple of years' time, that place is worth 1.6. It could. Obviously, it's a market like anything else, but I believe that taking place is like, we bought it for 1.8. Okay. There was a correction. It's 1.6 right now, and it's heading back up. No, see, I don't think it's the correction. So here's my thought behind this, okay? Naturally so, when you're looking at higher, more expensive properties, there's less of a pool of buyers, just purely because there's less amount of people who can afford these types of properties, right? I'm not going to argue on that. So the buyer pool is already reduced. Where we're at right now, I think you'd agree, is a very escalated level for like a single family home. No disrespect to anyone in like Poco, Maple Ridge and stuff like that, but the fact that you're paying anywhere from like 1.2 as a really good deal, to 1.5 and above for a nice single family home, which probably is still going to need like some work. We're not talking like this is brand spanking new renovation. Is absolutely crazy, considering like this time last year you weren't paying that much. Well, maybe 16 months ago you'd be able to get an opportunity in Vancouver for that. It's very escalated again, what's happened with the economy and COVID and whatnot, and I'm kind of losing my train of thought and trying to get back on the vibe here, but you can't expect that price to keep going up and up when it gets too expensive for everyone to afford. Because take a look at the west side. Okay, so Vancouver's west side.
Yeah.
As I was just telling you about Squamish, right? 174% 10-year average. It's gone up. That figure on Vancouver's west side single-family homes is 54%.
Yeah.
So it's still gone up, and that's not my argument. It's still going to go up. But if you actually look at the last 5 years for Vancouver's west side, right now you're actually down about 5.4% from the home price index.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more days on market sitting. And that's purely because even though the market is super busy, it doesn't make sense to, there's not enough people there. Now, the only caveat to this I will say is, that's that similar battle that happens with condos and houses. When condos get so expensive, it makes sense to go for a house.
The gap.
Right? Now, I still think there's quite a bit of a gap versus you can still get a decent home in the high ones.
Okay. In the condo market.
Single family homes. So you could go to Poco, you could go to Burnaby, and you can go to even Vancouver, and in the high ones, you can still get a good home. Like if you pay 1.9 for a home in Vancouver, you can still get a decent sized home. Now the average, I think, on Vancouver's west side for the home price index, I think is like 3.412. So there's still quite a gap. So I don't see it getting to that point. So I don't really see that actually happening with that
3.412.
Yeah, average home price index, single family homes only.
3.412 what?
Million Bitcoin?
Tell the people what you're talking about then.
Anyone who knows anything about Vancouver real estate
knows 3.1 is the median price on the west side.
I've got it down here, the home price index.
Articulate. The biggest thing is, I believe, is that
3.450400.
Okay, $1,000 is the median price on the west side of Vancouver for a detached house, is how you would say that.
So the last 5 years, you're actually down. If you bought on Vancouver's west side, you're actually, even in this heightened market, you're still down 2.3%.
Is that median price difference?
Home price index? Yeah, HBI, home price index. But then again, go back 5 years ago, again, perfect scenario. Look at how busy it was 5 years ago, 2016.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right? In 5 years' time, I don't think this type of market is going to be here because this was injected a lot because of COVID and various different interests, etc., etc., etc.
Okay, however, for prices to drop, people have to create a new benchmark lower, meaning people have to choose to sell, let's say, at a loss. Not necessarily at a loss. Below,
I can see that happening.
What they've seen,
I can see that happening for sure.
But so, what is the circumstance that they have to sell at a loss? They're not going to push rates up. That's not going to be the circumstance. So, what is it going to be?
Because they've overextended themselves. I think.
But if rates don't go up again,
well, rates are going to adjust. Rates will be adjusted, and if it's a variable rate.
Yeah, but you can lock in. I don't think that's. I don't see that.
I see that happening. Again, there's an argument for is that going to happen versus is that going to happen to so much of a large extent that it's going to bring the market crashing. But I can definitely see people defaulting because they're pushing themselves so far in order to just get into the market.
Is a default possible? Sure. Is a default at mass possible? I don't think so. I don't see it.
Well, I think...
Now, with that being said, what I was going to say before is the price has gone like this, the rates have gone like this, The only difference, now, money gets cheaper, people use it, that builds the market, as we know. What's the one thing outside of those two that has not changed in the economy? Incomes.
Okay.
So without the rates continuing to drop, there's still countries in minus rates. So we're still up there.
Denmark minus rates?
I don't know, Germany. I'm not sure, but there's negative interest rates around for sure. Does that relate into or come into mortgage rates? Who knows? We're not there now. I don't have that crystal ball, obviously, but the constant has been the pricing has gone up. Again, pull back 10 years. The constant also is that the rates have gone down consistently. So that is very hand in hand. Beyond that, I don't know how much lower the rates will actually go. I don't think they're going to jump up. I think there's a problem. I don't think we'll go to negative. I agree with you there, but I think they will stay in this realm. And then if the rates stay and income doesn't change, what happens to the pricing?
Do you think rates are still going to come down lower before they go up, even with inflation where it's at?
Yeah.
You think they're going to go down lower?
We're at what you can still get 1.5, and just under that, but fixed you're
like 2.5, 2.9.
I think 2.9 is high, but 2s, for sure. I think they'll try and tick it up, like they say, and then I think that'll cause problems, and then they'll pull it back down, and then let's just hold it. That's what I think they'll do. Because I don't think they can afford that, and I don't think any government, as we've seen here and in the U.S. forever, wants an implosion on their clock. So,
well, okay, so then to your argument, then when they tick it back up and that causes problems, that's going to have an impact on housing prices. To my point, if you bought a place for 1.8, don't be surprised if it's 1.6.
But those problems will be like a quarter.
No, I don't think the banks work that fast.
I think the politicians do.
I think the politicians...
This works, okay. If it doesn't, then we're pulling it back.
I think the politicians are arguably the most useless employees.
Obviously, but I think that they will try to do that, bump the rates, and I obviously have no idea what metrics they're looking at, but if the rates are bumped, it will slow the hell out of everything, and then...
Will it, though? Because, again, when you're talking when they up, how much are they going to up?
Who knows?
I think it's going to be in small increments. Because I also think that the politicians... the banks setting these rates, of course, they're not idiots, so we're not going to jump up like
I don't think they'll increase
multiple basis points, but I think it's going to be.
I agree with that. Yeah,
I think it's going to be in minimal increments, enough that it will probably have an effect. Yes, but I don't think it's going to be catalyst. So my own personal feeling is, if you're looking to buy a house, I think if you waited a couple of years, this is just my gut feeling. If you waited a couple of years, you could be looking at, depending on how, what does that work out as a percentage-wise? I don't know. Let's say from 5 to 10%. I think if you waited a couple of years, maybe 2.5 years, because we don't quite know if we're at the top now, you could be looking at 5 to 10% cheaper than what they're at now. That's my gut feeling, because I think it's escalated too high.
Yeah, I disagree. And then you're in the conversation of, if you're talking to people that are outside of the market, is it worth not building equity in the meantime to try and time the market and get in, which is not a good strategy, in my opinion.
And I understand that, but I don't think that this is a normal market. So I don't think that this is just everyday scenarios, and usually if it was, I'd definitely be on your side. Stop trying to time the market, like we say to people, and even after what I've said, 5 to 10%, that's a very different prediction than a lot of the people out there saying that the market's going to come down 30-40%. That's just crazy. I don't think that.
I don't. Yeah.
So that's still out there. Even though I'm saying, like, I think you should wait 2.5 years. I don't think that's out there.
But when you say that, are you talking to people that are out of the market or someone that wants to buy up?
Either. If you're looking at a detached house, well, I guess if you're looking at buying up, it's not going to make as much of a difference, because if you're in a single family home, your price is going to be escalated as well. So if the other price comes down, I'm assuming your price is also coming down if you're already in that single family. But let's say you're in a condo
and want to jump.
And you want to jump. But if you're in a house going to a house, because as with the west side, you've seen that there's not as much of a buyer pool there, and so the increases don't move as often. So, some more figures for you, considering you can't get enough of them. 10, 5, 3. So, okay. So, last year versus this year, single family homes on the west side are up 10.7%. It's a good figure. Don't get me wrong. And most years people will be happy with 10%, almost 11%.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're comparing that to the 30% for single family homes across Greater Vancouver, as the accumulated numbers, 20% down.
Yeah.
So I feel
But do you believe that's, well, as you said, that's obviously because of the price point.
Yeah, I feel that the price points are just getting too high to a point. Because don't forget, there's so many people now with low interest rates, with money being given to them because of CERB and all of these other things, and like cash.
That's the entry level of people.
Well, then with cash on hand as well. No, it's not. A lot of people were still claiming CERB if they'd lost income. Anyway, that's a whole other argument in and of itself, and that's going to be divisive, and Jay doesn't want to be divisive. So, you've got all of these factors working for you, because realistically, if you've still been working, everything's been working in your favour, and most of our jobs that we've not seen back in Vancouver were typically people who were not in that market anyway. No disrespect to you guys, but you were not in the place of buying like a 1.5 million plus home. So you've got everything else working for you, interest rates, so on and so forth, and people have been stretching to get to where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's only a certain amount that you can stretch. And I think when people are already stretching, it's going to wean out, and then it's just going to get to the point like an elastic band. If you see my hand shaking here, that is referencing the fact that the elastic band is about to come down, and that's what I think is going to happen, because I think as a general rule of thumb in the market, I think single family homes are the price is too high. Like, the difference between the west side is it's a privilege to live on the west side. You have nicer neighborhoods, bigger homes, blah blah blah. You have the it's well known. If you live in, say, West Vancouver, for example, it's well known the type of properties are there. Oh, I can't afford to live in West Vancouver. I can't afford to live on the west side. Okay, I can buy in East Vancouver. Okay, I can buy in Poco or whatever it may be. But now with everything being escalated to that, you don't have that other option alternative. And so I think it's actually going to price people out of the market. And maybe that's going to make a push on things like condos, and obviously townhouses are still busy. But I think there's going to be an adjustment downwards for the single family homes, because I think it's escalated so much so to a point that just the buyer pool is just going to be so much smaller.
I think rates will continue to drop, and that will add liquidity, allowing people to continue to buy in that realm. That cross will...
But at some point then that's got to change, because, okay, let's say...
It will change once rates cannot go any lower.
Okay, so when rates go to their bottom...
But that could be anything. That could be negative.
Okay, well, let's say rates hit their bottom. The home price index shows an average price for a single family home in Greater Vancouver is $2 million. You think it's going to continue increasing in the same way?
No, it's a direct relationship to the rates dropping. The prices have gone up, money has gotten cheaper. It's the exact same thing.
Okay, so that happens, right? Rates have gone to the lowest. Home price index is $2 million. Now rates are going up.
Then you're screwed.
Okay, then the price drops.
But I don't believe we're there. And I don't believe we're there in the next 5 years.
I reckon 2.5 years.
Okay. We're getting damn close. Because if you were at like what was the cheapest rates you heard of during COVID? 1.2?
Yeah, probably in and around.
I locked in it cheaply in February 2020, when life was still perfect, at $295. And that was like, okay, that was cheap.
I remember at the time thinking,
because it was like 305. It was just over 3. And then 9 months later, I was getting gouged.
You deserved it. That was the worst move. That was the worst move in Vancouver history. Just to ladies and gentlemen listening to this, Jay asked me to come over and help him move. And being the kind gentleman that I am, I said yes. I turn up in the morning, ask him what the situation is looking like. And because I had like coffees in hand.
Stop. There was a Starbucks downstairs. You did not bring coffees.
And I said, how's the place looking? And he said, good. Everything's packed up, ready to go. We just need to bring it downstairs. I go upstairs into the apartment and it looks like your average Monday morning, no change at all. Kids' duvets were still all over the beds.
We're sleeping on the floor.
The beds weren't taken down. The sofa wasn't taken down. And there's Jay putting the odd thing in a plastic carrier bag. The place is still fully furnished, overly furnished, one may add. And that was the beginning of my day of hell. So much so that at 10 p.m. at night, no, I think it was even like 11, I was like, I'm out, see you later.
Goddamn quitter.
Just drove home.
Quitter.
In the pouring rain.
Quitter. You just left us high and dry.
I think that exhaustion plus that amount of
those are the
being
smallest
soaked.
I've ever seen. That's unbelievable. Sorry.
These are beautiful sized nights.
Those are not even 9. Like 7.5 at most. And I still don't understand the high arch. You're technically a mutant with that high arch. Anyway, it was a rough move, and I appreciate you coming and assisting for half of it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
But then I asked, you did help me move on your birthday. So I guess that kind of equals things up. But we're going to agree to disagree. We can't.
What do you think? Do you think the rates are going to continue to slide and that the numbers are going to keep climbing? Or do you think we're at a plateau and we've hit it? We're done. We're going to start to see softening in general.
So, because technically we are kind of agreeing, it's just the thing that we're not agreeing on is price point. It is timing.
Well, you think it's going to be in the next handful of years, and I think the rates have a long way to go down before we get to the actual, what was the cheapest rates ever seen in Canada number. So yeah.
But inevitably, once we hit the lowest and rates start going up, you also agree that the same thing's going to happen. The prices of homes are going
to a certain degree. But if they go to again 0.5%, and then they jump to 1% or 1.5%, I don't think things are going to crumble.
Well, that's the other thing as well. Just as like a real caveat, because I know how people get so carried away with this conversation. Like, your home price is not going to come down like 30%. Like, we're not going to see those types of changes. Those people,
unless you have catastrophic like economic and financial failure, I don't see that as an option at all.
So that's not what we're saying here. Again, even that like 1.8 going down to 1.6 is like 10-12% change, and even that's pretty high. That's why I'm going with the kind of 5 to 10%. Yep. So it's not going to be that catastrophic. And again, realistically, if you're in it for the long run, like we always say that you should be, looking at the 8, 9, 10 plus year plan, it's not going to matter overly that much to you. You're still going to be in the green. But if I was a betting man, this is what I would go with. Obviously, you feel something different.
I just think the safest thing to do is wind the clock back to when I started and people were like, I want to be here for 5 to 10 years. Let's pay some equity. Let's build some equity. Good old equity build. And minimize our payments and make this our home for a while. I think that's always the safest bet, personally. Call me old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned. No, I would agree with you. It's always the long run. I think that wraps us up this week's... Well, it's not even this week's Sharp Stories. This is just our casual BSing session.
Sponsored by...
No one.
Me... Well, technically no one.
That's our wives don't even want to be here. So
no, they're upstairs watching a movie.
Okay, well, we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for joining.
Dremel session.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't mind in those kind of bullshitting things. Did it turn off? It turned off.
Card full.
I can't tell you how much I hate you. Never doing this again. Now it just turned off.
Okay, well, we've got the audio. We can at least put a damn podcast out.
We've got the audio, yeah. We could just do an audio video upload.